Hello and welcome to the Adroit Dojo podcast. I am your host, Danny. This episode is number 19, and it's part of the Roadmap series, Beginner Fundamentals. So to start off with, for the beginners, this is assuming you're brand new and have only been doing it for a few weeks, maybe a few months. So the first tip is to practice every day. Try for an hour every day, but it's better for you to practice 5 minutes than to not practice at all. When you practice, you'll want to have emphasis on your breathing and your technique. Don't worry about speed or power. You're new to this, so you need to take your time and learn proper technique. So first, you would want to start with just drills. Starting with whatever art you're learning, the fundamentals which they taught you like your first week, first class, second week, and so on. Generally speaking is movement drills. So you want to break them down into one movement drills, such as advancing forward, stepping back, left, right, circling, so on. And then you move on to defense and then strikes. So defense, it could be, let's say, striking, maybe side block, high block, shield block. Also a head movement like slipping the punch, ducking, rolling. Try not to get ahead of whatever curriculum they use. Focus on what they've been teaching you and keep drilling those. So as I mentioned, you'll do one movement drills, and then as you get comfortable moving, defending, and doing one movement strikes, then you'll start on two movement strikes. Now this is where it gets fun and a little complicated at first. So to begin with, movement will be considered its own part of the 1 beat, 2 beat movement drills. For example, you sidestep, jab. That will be the 2 movement drill. But as you get used to this, you can eventually combine the movements where applicable into the strike itself. That sidestep, then jab would then be sidestep, jab, followed by a cross. Because a lot of times in martial arts, we strike as we move. So it's only natural that once you're getting used to the moving and striking, that you'll combine them as a one movement drill. Just keep it nice and simple in the beginning because you're trying to get used to full body movements. So once you get comfortable with 2 movement drills, you can move on to 3 movement drills and then 4 and so on. A drill I like to really instill in people is one that teaches the 4 primary punches we use. So it's jab, cross, lead, hook, and then rear uppercut. And that teaches a good footwork and kinetic movement for all 4 punches. Finally, in regards to drilling, it is important that you drill as much as possible. So much so that you begin to hate it and then keep pushing on until you love drilling again. Because drilling is what makes you good at the technique. It gets your body used to it. It's what gives you the ability to start throwing punches and reacting without thinking. Those fundamental drills are the very basis, the foundation of everything else. That's why they're fundamental. Next is, in regards to learning, is write things down in a notebook during your breaks and after class. So if your teacher goes over a certain amount of techniques that day, write those techniques down in as much detail as you can and try to organize it that way. So list all the techniques, how to do them, and any other information they give you like application. And then see if you can come in early or stay late at your dojo to learn and train, because you'll be able to pick things up faster, obviously, the more you do it. So if you're there with an instructor to really hone in on that technique as much as possible, you will improve. And a lot of places, they don't mind sticking around after class or a little bit before class to help you learn and train. And then next, watch videos online to learn more. So I'd stick with things in your art or very relevant to your art. And don't overdo it, so stick what you've been learning either that week or previously. You don't want to go down the rabbit hole of watching a bajillion videos and then not training. So just watch what's relevant, so maybe tips on the jab or tips on roundhouse kick, whatever. And then just watch one video, train. Take a break, watch another video, train. So don't let media get in the way of actual physical training. And then record yourself once in a while to check technique and your progress. So recording yourself, you can see little mistakes you're making, such as maybe you're leaning too far forward, maybe you're too stiff, or maybe you drop your hand right before punching. So it's a good way to see how you're doing, and if you keep all the recordings, you can see how you've been improving over the several weeks. So if you ever hit a plateau or feel like you haven't improved any, you can look back and see if you have been improving and where at, and maybe what is still a sticking point for you. Once you have the techniques down, you should be looking to better apply the techniques in training and sparring. A good teacher will be helping you with this, and this isn't to be confused with tactics or strategy. That comes later. What I'm talking about is simply the application of technique now that you actually know how to use it. Some items of what I'm talking about and what to learn would be things like timing. So now that you can jab, you need to understand the timing for jab, distancing for the jab, good movement before and after to close that distance and to help with the timing. And then there's mental aspects like overcoming fear and proper aggression. And finally, we have eye training. We have to develop our eyes and mind to better see and track technique as they're coming at us. Also, we need to stop closing our eyes when our opponent strikes near our face. It's natural for us to flinch and want to guard our face. So the hard part is overcoming that turtling and cover up, guard as needed, but still keep an eye on what they're doing. Being able to track their techniques as they're moving is mainly achieved with partner drills and sparring. Because after all, them throwing near your face through drills and sparring is what does the best. But here's some other tools to help you improve as well. Shadowboxing in front of a mirror, as close as possible. There's a natural distance created with mirrors, so get as close as possible without actually hitting the mirror. Our high movement punching bags, such as a reflex bag, can help with that as well. Another technique people use is a tennis ball on a string or yarn that can help develop it as well. And finally, this is more of a joke, but if you're brave and stupid, an automatic batting cage works well as well. So to summarize, you'll want to work on physically the fundamentals, doing drills, doing a lot of drills. So you want to break it down first into 1 movement drills, then 2 movement, 3 movement. And then you want to constantly be writing things down in your notebook, things you want to improve on, things you've been learning, ways you can improve. Then once you have all that down, you'll want to learn good timing for the technique, distancing, overcoming fear. Now that you're getting comfortable and more relaxed in the movements, you can also apply better aggression and speed and consistency with your attacks and defense. Finally, the eye training. So a lot of sparring, drills, and then using high movement tools. So this has been Donnie with the Adroit Dojo podcast.